Hey there, guys, gals, fans, and pals. John Megacycle here. An episode of an RTS that is definitely in its bygone era, but one that, I don't know. Like, I play old games because they meant something to me when I was a kid, and they've got a place in my heart. And, I got those feels, and I always want to share them with my fans and my pals, the guys and the gals. This is When Two Worlds War. This is a fairly straight up but very complex RTS. When I got this as a kid, I think I was like 8. I don't even remember. And to be absolutely honest, my computer needed a RAM upgrade just to play this. I don't even remember the specs. I don't remember any of the details. But I had my dad futz with the RAM because of the way the case was sealed on the computer and blah 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 blah. Long story, but I mean, it was like a bit of a bonding time between me and my pops, and he was able to get the RAM set up, no problem. He was good with machines. I had a fair understanding. I wasn't smart, really. I'm still not smart now. But this one was complicated, and I learned through it, and I muscled through it as a kid, and now as an adult, years later, I'm giving it another crack, and I was like, oh man, good feels, good memories. So this is When Two Worlds War. Disclaimer, this is going to be weird. Not just the gameplay, but the noises, and very eclectic, very appropriate for the time, but let's just get started. There's two worlds, they're at war. Blue and red are the nomenclature for me versus them. You're always blue, they're always red. Very straightforward. We're here at the main menu. This does have a little cinematic when the game starts. I can't reactivate it. Can I? No. And I can't get the recording software to pick up that fast, but it's like a 10-second cinematic. There's nothing to it. There's easy setup. There's setup war. System is the menu. The tutor system, it's got a little bit of a tutorial. And activate just to start immediately. We're going to go through an easy setup, a setup wars if you want to get much more detailed in how the game works. I'm really going to treat this as a very light tutorial. I know how to play the game. I want to show it off, though. So this is going to be a very, very light, here's how you play. The game's so old. You can find it anywhere. This game's long been abandoned. So When Two Worlds War is the name of the game. So let's go easy setup. Now, I don't know if you can hear it, but the audio is really ultra quiet for the voice. And this is like the first time I ever had like a computer voice talking to me in a game. And so like he'll say like one or two things. It's like set up, select tech, set value. Like very, very simple. But it's very indicative of later on when you come across Eva from the Command & Conquer game. Eva is the electronic video agent. And when it really comes down to it, it's the silos needed, low power, our base is under attack. That kind of a thing. And it was having that little bit of a verbal response. That verbal cue like, hey, you got to be doing this. You should be doing that. You ought to be doing this. Kind of like an advisor. So this is kind of like a really ultra low down version of it. It only really replies when I click buttons or something devastating happens. So we're going to go through the settings. We're just going to set up a quick war here. What's the name of the blue planet? I'm just going to hit enter. The name is blue. Fine. What is the type of planet that we want? I want Earth. So I'm just going to hit continue. Each of these different planets grant me different abilities. I think Silicon Major gives me more weapon power. Ice Crust gives me more armor. Like whatever. So we'll just stick with Earth. Earth gives me no benefits. This is the planet composition. I go for dry desert. I'll explain why a little later. Tech levels. I'm going to start with tech level low, which is the normal starting. Facilities. If I want any facilities pre-built for me, the default is low. I'm just going to hit continue. Maximum number of MU, which stands for military units you can have, is equal to the number of food farms, which is 4. Press continue to generate just one starting MU, or select from the list below. I'll just take one, which is standard. I'm all set up. Now let's set up our opponent red. I'm going to give them also Earth. I'm going to give them also dry desert, so the benefits of both are there. Normally tech levels start at low, at 1. I'm going to give them medium tech. I'm going to give them more technology. Facilities produce material for, this is normally low. So same as me. Same, it's going to be 1 MU. Normally the enemy IQ starts low. I'm going to give them high IQ. Okay? Now that we've generated everything, we now have a rundown of what the war consists of. We have MU propulsion, broken down by what type of unit it is. MUs are military units. It's how you conduct warfare, defense, transportation, recon, whatever. We both start off with 1. I have a land MU. Red has a C MU. It doesn't matter. Tech level, I'm going to start at tech level 1, which is the lowest. Red is going to start at tech level 3, which again is at medium tech. Facilities, this is our initial, what our resources are on our planet, what's being harvested. We each have 1 Scilab, a mine, a power, 4 food farms, for a total of 7. This is the tech again broken down. I can alter anything I want, or I'm just going to say end. The chance of victory is calculated this time depending on starting resources, starting technology, starting anything. This is a great advantage to red, totally fine. So I'm just going to click a button here. Nope, wrong button. There we go. Now I have access. Nope, that's not good enough either. I was really hoping I could see the actual GUI before we actually got into it. Let me just, again, a quick tutorial. I just want to get gaming. This game is broken down into a very simple premise. It's produce facilities. Facilities generate resources. Those resources are used for either research or war effort, or building units, or building bases, or building defenses, or whatever. I don't know what I would relate this to. Maybe Metal Marines. Maybe we're both building up 2 sides. Metal Marines was more like 2 islands fighting each other, but this is 2 whole planets. The entire planet is for me to use, and that's really about it. So again, I don't want to spend a ton of time explaining how the game functions. Maybe some brief bips and bops, but I just want to kind of get to it. So, map modification, MU modification if I want to follow an MU or anything. Assign, this assigns a mission to a unit. This gives a unit a very specific mission if you want to micromanage anything. Design, this is where I can design an MU based on technology. We only have Mark 1s right now. I'm on tech level 1. My enemy's on tech level 3. So they can do some more customizing. I really can't. Build, this is where I'm allowed to show my resources, what I'll have. Resources are broken down to 4 parts. Lab, mines, power, food. Food just supports my military. It doesn't do anything else. Everything else requires a mix of laboratory, mine, and power resources, denoted just like that. I can build a new base, which allows me to produce military units. I can build new facilities like laboratories, mines, power plants, and farms. I can build military units. I can build my tech level, or I can just check the schedule. The schedule has 100 slots, and it breaks down all the things that are queued up for things to be built or done. If I need to reallocate, like let's say I built a bunch of factories, and then holy crap, I need to do research instead, I can move stuff around. Pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and skip that. Schedule. There's just a dedicated schedule button here. Order. If I want to order units around, I can order, I can check supplies, I can force an MU to refit itself for a higher tech level. I can order MUs around. I can order MUs, I can break them down into squads, missions, and then the debrief is all the stuff that's happened since. And then stats. This is where I can see all of the finer details and especially the overview. Interestingly enough, in a game where I start not knowing where the enemy planet even has on it, this is 100% true. So as you can see, a bit of a breakdown when this comes down as how many facilities lost, how many things are going on, how many, the tech level too. Like when the enemy gets a new tech level, it is publicly known. So the neat thing about that is like I can just check this menu all the time to see how far is my enemy progressing. Are they building a bunch of MUs? Are they researching up in tech? Are they dealing a bunch of damage to me? Cool. And then system is just the main menu. So let's just get right to it. This is my main base lightning. This is my 1 land MU. I'm going to go ahead and build some facilities because I'm only have like 1 facility of each of these. They're producing 1 resource. Fairly straightforward. These are the facilities. Facilities are broken down into 4 types. They also have an ideal place to be built. So check the cost right here. If I place it on a place that's unideal, like right here, this isn't an ideal spot. So what is ideal, though, is this desert. You see the cost changing? So this is really cool. Same thing with mines. You see that this rock right here is ideal. The price changes. Same thing with power. Power is water. That's ideal. And farm is this farmland, right? So this whole planet is for me to use. And I apologize for the janky stuttering. I did a ton of tweaking. I can't fix that. Like that, I can't get DOSBox dialed in any harder than it is. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to build 2 mines. I'm going to build a lab. I'm going to build a power plant. And that's it. Small steps. On the scheduler, we can see that everything is queued up. How much resources, where it's located, and what its priority is. It's always going to check the top item first and then work its way down. So if you have something really expensive on the 0 level, it'll skip it if it can't afford it and then work its way down based on how many resources you have. This game works out pretty straightforward. The enemy's got a significant advantage on me, but after playing this for a while, I've realized what happens is the enemy does not manage its resources properly. So let's just back off. We've got the letter P, which means the power plant is built. We've got an M here, which means the mine is constructed. 3 times a month. This little timey, little liney thingy denotes a month. This is the 2nd month of the year 2121. These things broker down into, these structures get resources for me 3 times a month. Or maybe it's 4 times. Can't remember. Doesn't matter. There's a little voice that says resources produced. Okay. So the power in the mine is done. Based on my resources, I need more power. And unfortunately, I need way more lab for more power. So we're just going to wait until this lab is built. So anyway, the main tactic, the main gimmick of this, like I was saying, is the thing that goes through is the enemy doesn't do a great job really taking care of what they need. So I can go and I can rush resources darn near immediately. And as long as I stay above their resource production, I can outdo them. So this first part of the game is a little tight. What you'll be seeing on the minimap here is more white dots. These white dots are the same as this. These are resource structures. So, main goal of the game is to go to space, and then go to the red planet, and smash everything. When I smash everything, I win. That's basically it. How are we doing on resources? I should be able to build that lab this turn because it only takes 5 power. There we go, lab built. Yep, there we go. Sometimes you have to click on a screen or a menu for everything to pop up. Okay. I'd like more power.
Select location.
And another mine or 2. Or 3. Cool. And every time you're done with the menu, it'll just say thank you. Oh, power's already online. Awesome. We'll wait for these mines to get done, and then we're going to add more labs. Come on.
Resources produced.
Almost? Okay, almost.
Resources produced.
Okay. Need a little more power.
Month end.
And then we'll also get notifications of month end, year end. I don't really know what the difference is. Like, it's just notification.
Resources produced.
Okay, so let's just check the stats and just to better explain what I'm trying to explain. Oh, they went heavy on the mines. Oh, this... Huh. This opponent actually might be difficult. Usually I can just get right ahead of them and kind of lap them, so to speak. I can kind of just bunker down on resources and then go a ton of technology and just go full ham. And then that's really all there is to it. Also, the enemy has a really bad tendency of shifting over and building a crap ton of farms for no reason. The only thing farms do is they support my military. But You only need 1 farm per 1 MU. I'm not even building MUs. I have 4 farms to start the game with. So we just gotta wait for some things to get finished up. I need more resources. All the technology uses lab resources.
Month end.
Month end, big deal. Doesn't stop me from doing nothing. Just trying to flash the screen a little bit. Want to make sure all the labs and power plants and mines are built. Waiting for that last lab. Okay, well, we got a bunch of farms. Hooray, hooray. Let's go ahead and start working on a few more mines. Mines and farms are very easy to set up. Very lightweight in terms of cost. Not that big of a deal. Let's go ahead and queue up a few more power plants. So I'm very hemorrhaging in this game for a couple of reasons. First is obviously technology. The second is the enemies using their higher IQs, which is not that big of a deal. Bam, I've surpassed them. This is the thing that's most important in my mind, is the Psi labs. Science, or labs, or whatever the hell it's called, lab resources, are more important for spaceships. You need a spaceship to travel to another planet. So if their Psi labs aren't coming up that quickly, it's kind of not that big of a deal to me. I'm not going to cry too hard. I'm going to push a little harder on the labs once these 2 other power plants are built. And then hopefully I can actually start doing research. There we go. That's the indication right there. Mines and power. Lab, please. Now, one more thing to explain. Even though the cost is different here, see, if I build it on the not right tile, it costs more. It doesn't actually matter. It'll always produce the same. It's just the initial build cost that hampers it a bit. Aside from that, every facility you build produces 1 of that unit. From what I can tell, that seems to be the case. The instruction manual for this thing is ridiculous. Even as an adult now rereading it, I tried to figure out costs of building a vehicle. And when you build a vehicle, you assign a tech level to certain components, and you go through and it generates a cost. Like, the cost on some of this stuff is like, take the number, cube it, half it, add 10, square it, minus 50. And it's like, how the hell did you think of that? What part of any of that made any sense, even? It's insanity, man. Insanity. Okay, so let's get a few more power plants a-going. There's no cute little niche. That and that works for me. Okay, let's take a look at our opponent. I'm keeping up on the resources. Things are looking good. The thing I need to keep an eye out is space. The space MU. If he doesn't have any space MUs, he can't attack me. So that gives me a little creature comforts in the early game. But that's not going to be a permanent thing. Once they start ramping up, this is not going to be not going to be great.
Resources produced.
And do we have all our stuff? Almost. I'm missing on 2 labs. Then we'll take a look at our resources, then we'll see what we're going on from there.
Month end.
I should be able to complete now. As we're ramping up our resource production, we're also going to be able to build more and more and more and more facilities. It's a very snowballing effect. So now I've got all the labs I want. Our resources, again, significantly better than where they were, but not really sufficient for my taste. Let's get a few more mines set up. Mines are something I'm not going to need a terrible amount of, but I'm going to want a bunch. Mines are used for land vehicles and transportation and armor. In terms of when we're building RMUs. Labs are used for space propulsion and air propulsion. Power is used for firepower, like weaponry. Stuff like that. I don't really remember all the generalities of it. But this will do us some good. Something like that. That works for me. Cool. I have how many farms, actually? 12. Let's get another 8. for my civic defense of this planet, I'm going to want a bunch. Not a ton. You can only have 100 MUs in play at any given time. And the game really shows its age when you start really assaulting an enemy. Like, really, really, really bad. And like I said, I did a ton of tweaking. I did a ton of... Is all my power online? Oh, dang. Oh, dang. A bunch of it, which is good. This game really shows its age. It does not handle a ton of combat at the same time. That's when we're going to hear a lot of noises. A lot of... That's when I was like, this game... Full disclosure, this game's going to be a little weird. Okay? Full disclosure. Cool. We've got some more farms. We got some more labs. We got some more power. Let's check on our enemy. They've not risen in tech. I'm almost triple their structure count. And that is delightful for me. Good. I need to stay ahead of them economically, or I'm never going to win. We both start with an MU. I started with this Happy Chappy. This is a Land Tank Mark 1. Again, it has Tech 1 of everything. There's nothing fancy about it. Literally nothing. Yeah, I mean, this is just information, what it's doing, what squad it's in, its identification. There's nothing really super fancy to tell you about that. The only thing I wanted to bring up was it's Tech 1. Now, because we can customize... I think we're all built up. Awesome. Because we can customize a lot of our units, our MUs, the way they're configured, you can actually create some unique situations. The way in which the game tries to sell itself is it tries to facilitate itself as a war game for nerds. Like, there's a fair amount of customization. For me, honestly, once you get past some of the I don't know, the glitz and the glam of the customization, I just build the same damn thing every time anyway, and it just works. So, I mean, there's a lot here. There's also a fully programmable mission you can build, and the mission can hold a lot of detailed information, like, what do you want this unit to do? Well, I want you to take off and go to space, if it's a spaceship. Then I want you to patrol space in this configuration, up, down, up, down, up, down, and then wait 30 seconds, and then come back and refuel. Like, you can specify all that. That's not a single line of code, but that's what's here in the mission. You can actually program what you want the damn thing to do. We're not going to do any of that. We're just going to use one lines of code. This is going to be very easy. I'm not in the mood for it. What you can do in between your wars is you can actually save your missions, you can save the loadouts of the planet, you can build scenarios. This game is actually very in-depth for what it was. In my opinion, this is probably one of the more complex games of its time. Really cool. Really super cool. I don't know, in today's day and age, probably not so cool. I don't know if you'd think of this as a grand strategy game. I guess if I had to say what would be a good forefather to grand strategy, this would be it. This kind of goes a little bit beyond real-time strategy to me, and calls it. I would call this out as definitely a grand strategy. What's the difference between an RTS and a grand strategy? It's just really the depth of it. Like games like Command and Conquer, what else? Rise of Nations, Warcraft 2, StarCraft, what else? Those are games that are real-time strategy games. A grand strategy means there's just significantly more depth and stuff for you to manage. That's really, in layman's terms, how I would get that figured out. Okay, let's check on our enemy. Not seeing any space MUs yet. Good. We are well above their production, so I'm very happy. We're going to go ahead and start building up our tech level. Right here are all the things that we can work on, what they are, the tech, and what level they currently are, and a little bit of a blurb as to what this does. So what I'm going to work on is a Royal Air Force. So what I want is to work on my air propulsion to increase our capabilities in the field of flight through the air. So these are different engine types for the aircraft. I can go through and I can queue up as many levels as I want. The higher the level, the more the build cost. So let's match ourselves on our opponent. Let's get to Tech 3 on everything. So, air propulsion, firepower, the missiles, range. This is the actual range of the missile, the targeting computer, the armor of the craft, and the radar on the craft. How much can the craft see? There's also transportation, which I never mess with, but if you want to make like an aircraft carrier, that's possible. There's also speed on land, speed in the sea or the ocean, and speed in space. We need space eventually to go fight the enemy, but for right now, I just want to work on a Royal Air Force. If my enemy slaps together some serious offense on the quick, I'm going to be screwed. So, as it says in the schedule, I got a bunch of research, right? It's always in the... I think it tries to organize itself in the earliest level to the latest level, because I can't research level 3 armor without level 2 armor, right? Oh, crap. What did I just do? Oh, I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know I could arrange it that easily. Excellent. So what's going to happen is, once I have a certain amount of lab resources, it'll be deducted, and I'll have fresh research, which should be happening now. Yep. I had enough for targeting. Bam, targeting's done. So this is why I want a lot of labs. And while we're doing research, which is eating up our lab resources, I can go ahead and do other stuff, like building more labs. Important point to note, a resource will never require itself to build something. So, for example, I want to build a lab, it requires mines and power. I want to build a mine, it requires labs and power. I want to build power, it requires mines and labs. So this is a very nice relationship. Once I've got my mines and my power up to a level I'm happy with, I can now just kind of spam labs and really jank up my tech real hard. That's kind of the working plan here. Let's always add a few more mines, get a little more power. Works for me. So now, in my schedule, facility production is first, but because I need so little science, this will hopefully just the lab. It'll just push through and it'll do some research while we're going. So, maybe a quick answer is I have the whole world. Why am I building all my stuff in one spot? That's literally a deal breaker 101 in all RTS games, especially when RTS games get to the point of super weapons. If I have a nuclear weapon and I throw it against you, big freaking problem is if I can level half your base with that one nuke, that's bad. So, here, I only have the one defensive base. Lightning. Holy crap, did all those labs get built? Damn near. Awesome. And I want my defenses to be very close to where I can actually have my resources as well. So that's why I'm building all this stuff relatively close. Okay, super turbine, very cool.
Resources produced. Month end.
And as the game progresses, we're just going to keep clicking build and see what resources we have, assuming we don't know how many lab resources we have, because that's going into all research. But the second I've got a fair amount, I'm going to go ahead and keep building more labs. There's no upkeep in this game for structures. Like, just because, like, think about it. What's power used for? Like, power plants, right? I need power to fuel my facilities. That's not the case. Once you built the facility, it's completely self-contained. It provides a resource for you. That's it. So now you can kind of see why I really wanted to do a desert map. It facilitates a lot of laboratory work.
Thank you.
Perfect. You can build on top of anything. You can build on top of a base. This guy right here, I'll just direct control him. Like, you just walk over facilities or whatever. This game also has a turn-based mode. I mean, it's kind of designed... If you ever played, have you ever heard of a game called Max? Mechanized Assault and Exploration? That's a turn-based game, which can also be played kind of real-time. It's not like real time, but, you know, it's not too bad if you've got one system and you want to try to make the game work for another system. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick pause here. I've done a lot. No, I don't want to see that menu. There we go. I've done a lot of explaining. We're already half hour in. This, a good war takes about hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. It depends on how rushy you are and how tenacious the enemy is. So, I don't know. This could be over very soon once they get to Spaceship Tech, send a bunch of crap, ruin his base. I don't know. We'll just have to see. So, anyway, my name's John Megacycle. Thanks for joining me. When Two Worlds War is in the books, and I hope to catch you next time. Hey there, guys, gals, fans, and pals. Thanks for checking out my video. I also want to take a moment to thank all my supporters and donators, and if you'd like to join up with me and game with my crew, all the information to get connected is in the description below. Thanks again, and I hope to catch you next time.